synopsis of the game last week. Obviously, glad to get a win, and certainly things we can get better at, but just overall, certainly glad to get a win. There's no question about that. Defense played well. Offense played good at times, still had some plays out there that we could have made. And then special teams played really well. Had some big plays in the teams aspect. So, but another short week, and we're playing an outstanding team in Central Florida. They've had 2 big wins, and really full game last week. They played well the whole game. I think played really well the second half of the Boise game, and pretty much shut Boise down the second half defensively. And then got some things going offensively. They, obviously a fast tempo offense with a veteran quarterback that makes a lot of plays. Strong running game and passing game. They certainly put pressure on defenses. Then I think defensively they're playing better this year. They're basing out of a 4-down, but very, very aggressive defense, playing man on the back end, a lot of man-free coverage, and their defensive line is impressive. 2 transfers there up front that are good players. The best player is probably number 22 up front, the Davis kid, 6'2", 310, very quick off the ball, very good player. So we know it's a big challenge for us, and another short week for us, and guys got to get fresh and be ready to go for this game.
Scott, Central Florida's only allowed like 44 yards of rushing all year. Given that they stopped the run so well, does it change your approach to play calling going into this game, or do you kind of feel it out as you go?
Well, we're game planning now. We're looking at that, and we obviously looked at it yesterday. Looking back on last week, and then started looking at them this week, and it certainly will. We want to take what they've given us, and if they're loading up the box, then we know we got to throw it more, and then vice versa. So as we look through the game plan, we'll check it out and see what we need to do.
When teams are playing at as fast a pace as UCF, does the Ole Miss experience help you there, and have you changed your practice patterns to try to simulate that?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I hope we learned a lot in the Ole Miss game. There's no question. And they didn't go as fast probably as they could have. Probably, there was a lot of times in the Ole Miss games you look back on it where they were freeze cadence and then looking back toward the sideline, and But as you look at Central Florida, it looks like they're going fast. And really not worrying about. Some teams will try to look and try to get in the best play. They're just running fast plays and hoping to get you not lined up. So hopefully we learn, some things to do good and not to do good, not to do bad in that Ole Miss game. So as far as practice goes, we'll see. You basically have one big work day, which will be tomorrow for us, being this short week. Our guys hadn't had a day off, since we started practice, at the beginning of Ole Miss prep. So, today will be light for us, and then basically one big work day will be tomorrow, and we'll go tempo against our defense for that day with our scout teams.
Yeah, I want to touch on. I got Josh Johnson. Came in from a lot of injuries to kind of get on the field. He seems to be kind of one of the more consistent receivers you guys have right now. What's it been like to see his progression, and then see him work his way back in the league?
Yeah, he's number one, a great person. I love being around him. Very positive, upbeat, particularly with having the kind of injuries he's had, and he's come back from them. He's been living in the training room and just keeps working, and really happy for him. He's been very consistent. He knows what to do. He knows every position at wide receiver. Catches the football, has a great sense of spatial awareness. Not the fastest guy, which probably has held him back a little bit, probably in his career. But man, he does everything else right. I think that's why he's been the most consistent guy, in the receiver room.
Other questions? Excuse my ignorance here, but could you explain, without giving away trade secrets, what those signs mean on the sidelines, and how players know which one is operative?
Yeah. Well, I just speak in general terms because I see other teams using them as well. Sometimes they don't mean anything. Sometimes they do. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, it's just talking to other programs and stuff. I mean, some people use it as a tempo, some people use it as an actual play, and some people just use it for show. Because everybody's stealing signals. Everybody's trying to get the other side to figure out what they're calling. And so a lot of teams will try to just do a lot of different things, whether it be 3 or 4 people signaling, whether it be boards, colors, just all those things. And really, that's trying to keep the other side from getting what you're doing.
Nationally, college and pro, run the ball on second and long about 55% of the time. You run on second and long like 75% of the time. Is that a sort of philosophical commitment?
Mm-hmm.
Is it sort of personnel driven? What's the discrepancy there?
I think some of it is we're just trying to get half of that yardage back to make it third and medium, third and short. Some of it is kind of what we're seeing. I went back and looked. Second and 5+, we're 60-40, 60 run, 40% pass. As you look on first down, we're about 50% pass run. We try to go back and look and see what we're doing on these downs and down the distances, and then trying to make it look pretty balanced to the opposing team. There's just a lot that goes into it. I mean, it's not just okay, well, it's second and long, let's throw the football. I mean, that's not what we do it. I never have done it that way. So a lot of it is just trying to get half of it back, and we think we got a positive play here. And the other night we're just also trying to work on some things too. We're trying to get our running game going, trying to find some ways to pop a good run. And sometimes if they're thinking pass, then you can get a good run. I mean, a good example was 3rd and 11. Ole Miss the very first time, and we ran a Q draw, and we pick up 12 yards and get a first down on that. It's sometimes it's thinking what they're thinking and trying to do the opposite. I mean, so there's just a lot of different ways. I mean, with that, I think play calling is always pretty funny to me because play calling, everybody's a critic after the play. If the play works, it's a great call. If it didn't work, why do we call that? And my mom questions that. So, I mean, that's the way it always will be, has been, and I understand that. But it's, obviously we're trying to design all these plays to work, and we want them to get big plays and first downs and touchdowns, and it doesn't always happen that way.
Scott, you mentioned after the game, I guess your inability to convert on third down. I think you guys averaged like 1.5 yards on third and short when you run the ball.
Yeah.
When you watch that on film, is that a running back issue, an off the line issue, or is it just
Yeah.
a combination of it?
Yeah, it's a little both. On the first one that we didn't get, 3rd and 2, we had 2 tight ends. He should have hit it more front side, and we ended up banging it back. The linebackers were playing off. We hit it front side. We get a first down. So some of that is just experience, I think, in the backfield, with our guys, and then, it's some of it is the blocking up front, but and sometimes it's a combination. But we got to be able to read that in short yardage because they do most of the time pinch and scrape backers, and so you got to just find out where your O-line is and get behind those guys. And I think we did. We got to learn from that and do a better job with that. There's no question.
A quick follow-up to that. I know you said, obviously, sustaining drives is important against an offense like UCF. How important is it for you guys to get that fixed against run defense?
Yeah.
That's the best in country?
Yeah, they're really good run defense, and I think they do that, with how aggressive they are up front. We got to find ways to do it, and that's what we're doing now in the game planning, finding the ways where we can try to get some edges and to be able to get some runs in there. And there may be something that you do different on that as well. Again, if they're all stacking the box, then we got to do something outside. So a lot of it just kind of go where they're not, mentality. But we got to figure out a way to stay on the field, keep sustaining drives, keep their offense off the field, and then we got to get down there and score touchdowns.
Hey, Scott, you
Yep.
talked a little bit about the offensive line after the game, but after getting a chance to look at the film, is there anything specific that jumps out to you that can help them maybe create a better switch?
Mhm.
Just play a little better?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and it all wasn't just the O-line. I think the tight ends were involved on some of those that I thought the O-line had it blocked up pretty well. And then, we got stuffed at the tight end position, a couple of different tight ends with that on the edges, and that would have really sprung the play to be some better plays. a couple of them we got caught in pressures, and we were running outside, and got caught in pressures that were coming from that side. We got to get out of those plays. That happened, I think, twice. You know, and all those plays are precious. You know, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to run a bad play. I don't want to run a play into a pressure that's not a good play. So we got to get out of those plays. You know, so that's on us as coaches. And so it's not all the O-line's fault with that. I think, man, I went back and I just watched all our outside zones from the first 2 games, and there's a lot of good plays there, you know, and we got to get better with it. But there's some good plays. What we haven't had this year is the big breakout run, you know, the run that goes for 50 or 60, and that's what we got to get. And I think sometimes that happens from perimeter blocking with the wide receivers, getting on their guys. There was twice in the Ole Miss game where if we're on our safety, man, and we got guys there, then that thing's going for 40 or 50 yards, and we didn't. You know, we got to get better at that. So it's all of us. It's not just one position. I mean, I think it's all the groups working together and doing their assignment.
Scott, just analyzing the defense, looking at the film, how encouraged were you by creating turnovers and guys being in the right place?
Yeah, that was good to see. Much better with our eye control. Didn't have nearly as many MAs in this last game, you know, and better tackling. I thought Trey Clark played an outstanding game. You know, 2 interceptions and had some great tackles. We were much more aggressive outside. I didn't notice the spot throws and the perimeter throws. Our guys were really much more aggressive with that. We're going to see it again this week. You know, so they're going to have to pull their triggers and go make those plays. Still could probably get a little bit tighter, you know, with some of the safety coverages. We were still a little bit loose on those, so we got to get still a little bit better there. It's great to have Monty Montgomery back out there. I thought he played a really good game. You know, the quarterback was getting rid of the football fast. I think we had 1 sack in that game, but they were getting rid of it less than 2 seconds. I mean, that ball is gone, so it's kind of hard to get back there. But yeah, much better play by our defense, and you know, the one play we had the PI call, and it gave them a first down, and that's what they got the field goal on. Otherwise, it would have been a shutout. So I thought it was a good, outstanding job by our defense.
Scott, you mentioned Easton gets the ball out quick. Ole Miss did that.
Mhm.
UCF will do that as well.
Yeah.
Does that make it hard to evaluate your defensive line?
It makes it hard because they you know, you're catching the ball and throwing, and they don't have a chance to get back there. There's not a ton of drop back, and I think, you know, especially with these tempo spread teams, you know, part of their offense is throwing the bubbles, the spots on the outside, you know, and getting it out there. It's like in the old days, it was like the tall sweep, you know, get the ball on the perimeter and let's see those guys get some blocks. But it does frustrate the D-line at times not being able to get to the quarterback. You know, we got to get them in some long yardage situations, you know, to where they will do just true drop back, so you can be able to get pressure on the quarterback, and that's when you really can evaluate and see, you know, where the D-line is at. I still think Ashton Gillott still had a good game. You know, I think he's been the most consistent D lineman that we've had so far in the first 2 weeks, and I think he'll continue to get better and better. You know, he's got a really bright future.
Scott, there's probably a good chance Huggins Bruce is going to get some more attention tonight. I would imagine he'll be on Bad Beats on ESPN. Do you know enough about the kid to know that this isn't going to define him?
Yeah.
He can rebound from that situation?
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously disappointed and hurt. He was excited, I guess, when he's running 90-some yards. You just got to finish the play, you know, and, yeah, I think he'll bounce back from that for sure, and grow and learn from that. And, you know, it's very unfortunate. I've never had that happen to a player in all my years coaching. You know, I've seen it happen before. You know, other teams, I've seen NFL guys do it. And so it has happened. You know, obviously you got to just get it across the line. But he's a good player. He's continuing to learn and gain experience. I thought he played a lot faster in this game compared to the Ole Miss game. He'll catch the football, and he's got great speed. He's a playmaker, you know. So we got to continue to find ways to get him the ball, and while he's still learning about our offense and learning what to do within the offense.
You mentioned that on those zone reads that you run some pressures. How much of that is recognition at the line of scrimmage pre-snap versus communication from the sideline?
Yeah.
Stuff like that?
It's a little bit of both. I think there was one of the times we saw it early, and we got to get out of the play. I mean, that's on us, and we didn't do it. We just stayed with it. The next one, it happened right before the snap, you know, and and it was in the red zone. You know, their safety's back. You know, he starts creeping right before the snap of the football, and we're getting ready to snap it. And that kind of happens on the run, and that's where we got to be better up front to get that. They still got to have their eyes up, and they got to communicate all in about a second right there. But we got to be able to do that. But us as coaches got to help them out too, with that. If we can see it, recognize it beforehand, and then we get out of the play and go to the next one. So it's a little bit of both, and that's something we got to get better at.
Scott, one of the narratives heading into this season was trying to figure out which offensive skill position players were going to step up with losing all the production you guys had. After 2 games, do you think you're any closer to truly hammering out the rotation you had, or is it still kind of a work in progress?
Yeah, I mean, we're still working in progress. I think, the good news is a lot of these guys have made plays. The one that we've struggled the most to get in the ball is Tyler Harrell. That's the one that we'd like to be able to find ways to get the ball, and I think we had 5 targets last week. We didn't connect on any. But I think, the other guy, I think Watkins obviously is solid. Braden Smith's very solid. I think JJ's very solid. We found that. I think Justin Marshall's very solid. So, and Marshawn Ford's a good target. So I think, we have our nucleus that we're going to get the ball to for sure.
Scott, my apologies if you have answered this previously, but you talked a lot today about like those little situations where instead of like a short play, it could have been a long play. Do you feel like these number of games you're playing can be beneficial, or do you feel like these are things that like more practice time would have been helpful to kind of separate it?
I mean, it's all of it. Each time you go on the field, you got to get better. I think you really recognize it, though, when you're playing in the games, because the things that stand out a lot more, because we're not out there on the field, the coaches, the guys are, and they got to recognize and see what's getting presented to them and then how they're going to react to it. And then we learn a lot from the games. There's no question about it. We try to simulate as much as we can in practice and get some of that stuff going, but sometimes it's difficult to see what's going to arise. But that's why every week we try to go good on good so we can kind of see if anything's going to arise within that. But I think it's a little bit of both. And, again, guys just got to continue to grow and learn from what they've been doing and get better with it.
Scott, I know one person you guys praised a lot in the spring and fall camp is Yaya. He struggled a little bit out of the gate. What can he do to get going?
Yeah, he was dinged up a little bit. He got early in the Ole Miss game, kind of hurt him in that game. I think he came back this past week and was a lot better with it. I think it's just, he just got to be able to make the plays. I mean, he's got the ability, he's got the talent. He's got to have, he's got to be healthy, number one, and then he's got to play hard, and each and every rep that he's out there. I know Coach Ivey does a good job rotating those guys and keeping them all fresh, but when he's out there, he's got to be able to make plays. He's certainly got the potential to do that.
Scott, it looked like on that first drive, Malik was able to find Jordan and Braden underneath to really help get some nice yardage on first down. Are there more of those plays that are out on the field, or is that maybe on the coaching staff a bit to involve those guys a little bit more?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly on us to be able to get them the ball in space, and they're there. They're available. We got to be able to take them. I thought Malik did a good job of hitting them. When it presented itself. There's a couple of times where he got out of the pocket. And I thought he had Marshawn Ford one time he could have hit and he didn't. He ended up just trying to run it. But those are decisions he's got to make when he's out on the perimeter. Whether you can get the ball down the field or do you need to take off and run. But in the design play, I think there was 2 other times where we had the guys open. He's getting ready to throw it to him, and then we got a little bit of pressure. He had to move in the pocket. Then it threw the timing off. That happened twice. So yeah, there's certainly plays there to be made. We got to be able to make them. We certainly got to make them this week. We got to be able to stay within this game and score points because we know how productive their offense is.
What's different about the atmosphere of a Friday night game, stage all to yourself? I mean, it's kind of rare you're going to get that for the second time in 3 weeks, and obviously didn't show what you wanted to do that first time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not crazy about playing on Friday nights. I kind of think that's for high school football, but it is what it is. We are there now, and so we want to take advantage of it. It's it's pretty cool when you're on the TV. People are going to be watching throughout the country. It's but when you're out there playing, you don't think about any of that stuff. You're just trying to make a play and do the best job you can. The thing that hurts us the most probably is just the short week. You just don't have enough time to do your normal prep work like we didn't last week, and then the same this week. So, and we got to get rest. We got to get our guys rest so they go play fast, and that's the other thing. But it's to know you're the only game on TV at that particular time, to go out and showcase what you have. I mean, that's pretty special. We got to showcase our stuff. That's the bottom line. All right, thanks, guys.